Okay, ready to find your voice? Let's dive into this guide on assertive communication. I mean, who hasn't wanted to, like, speak their mind more clearly
Right.
without, turning into that person, right?
And it's funny because the source makes it clear that it's not just about speaking up, it's about this balance. It's about respecting yourself, but also respecting others and how that all works together.
Yeah, totally. It's like finding that sweet spot between being a pushover and, being aggressive. Like, instead of just doing over a coworker, always dumping last-minute tasks on you, this guide is all about giving you the tools to actually, say something.
It's true. They actually compare it to learning a new language, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because you wouldn't expect to be fluent in, like, French or something overnight, right? It takes time and assertiveness. It's a skill you build. And this guide really breaks it down, starting with the I statement. You know, that thing where it's about owning your experience instead of pointing fingers. Like, instead of saying, you're always late, it's saying, I feel frustrated when you're late.
Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
It gets the point across without instantly putting someone on the defensive.
Exactly.
I think there was even research about I statements and how they can actually reduce conflict and improve communication. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's about, inviting a dialogue instead of starting a fight, right? And the source really dives into this. Like, they even give you a whole script. It's like a cheat sheet for setting boundaries at work, which, let's be honest,
Right.
we could all use some help with sometimes.
Okay, but, like, can you give me an example? What does that sound like in a real conversation?
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I've definitely been in those moments where my mind just goes blank.
Totally. And you either overcommit or just shut down completely, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why this guide is so helpful. It gives you actual phrases you can use. So let's say your boss asks you to take on this huge project, but you're already swamped. Instead of that knee-jerk, okay, I'll try, which we've all done,
Oh, yeah.
they give you this much more empowered phrase like, I'm already at capacity with my current workload. If I take on this new project, something else will have to give. Can we prioritize tasks together?
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's so much better than just, like, caving,
Right. And it's not just saying no for the sake of it. It's about offering a solution, too.
Exactly. It's collaborative.
Exactly. And that's what I love. It's not confrontational. But source also points out it's not always about saying no. Sometimes it's about advocating for what you need, but in a positive way.
Okay, yeah, like what? Give me another scenario.
All right, so picture this. You're in a meeting, and every time you try to speak, you get talked over. You know the feeling, right?
Ugh, the worst.
Well, they encourage you to use phrases like, I'd like to add to that, or I have a different perspective. May I share it?
Oh, I love that. It's like you're claiming your space at the table. It actually makes me think of that quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's like, for good ideas and true innovation, you need that human interaction, the conflict, the debate.
Oh, totally.
You can't have that if you're not even part of the conversation.
Exactly. And that actually ties into something else the source really emphasizes, active listening. It's not just about waiting your turn to talk, you know? It's about really tuning in and trying to understand where the other person is coming from, even if, honestly, you don't agree with them.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? Because I know I'm guilty of, like, planning my response before they've even finished talking.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
But they have some good tips in here, like they recommend paraphrasing what the other person is saying to make sure you've got it right. You can even just ask clarifying questions. And then even just simple things like nodding your head or making eye contact to show you're engaged.
Right. Those are such good points. I especially like that paraphrasing one. It's like, so what I'm hearing you say is, and then it forces you to slow down and actually process what they're saying.
Right. It really does force you to hit the pause button, which sometimes, I don't know about you, but
Good, tell me about it.
it can be harder than it sounds.
Totally.
But it's so important, and the source really stresses that active listening thing. It builds trust. You know, like you were saying, that rapport, and that's so essential for any healthy relationship, romantic work, you know?
Oh, absolutely. When someone really feels heard,
Yeah.
it changes the whole dynamic. It's like
Yeah.
it de-escalates things. It opens the door for a real conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, what about those times when, you're doing the active listening thing, you're using the I statements, but you still feel that like little flicker of fear?
Oh, 100%.
Like what if I come off as too aggressive or demanding or,
Yeah, it's intimidating. But that's totally normal, and the source actually talks about this. Like that fear, it's usually coming from somewhere, right? It might be past experiences, societal expectations, all that.
Totally, yeah. Like, wasn't there that study, I think we talked about it earlier, about how, like, women especially are kind of socialized to prioritize harmony
Oh, yeah, for
even
sure.
over their own needs. And so assertiveness can feel like,
It feels risky.
yes, exactly. It
Yeah,
feels
it is.
risky, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that fear then? Like, it's one thing to have the right words, but it's like, how do you actually shift your mindset so you feel comfortable using them?
It's so true. It's like you have to rewire your thinking, which takes time. But the source had this interesting idea about reframing those thoughts we all have.
Okay.
Like, let's say that voice in your head is telling you, "Ooh, you're going to sound so pushy." What if you flip the script? Like, "I deserve to be heard. My needs are just as important."
Yes.
It's that thing of reminding yourself that setting boundaries or advocating for yourself, that's not selfish.
It's not selfish, yeah.
It's actually healthy. It's for your own well-being.
Right. It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
If you're always putting everyone else first, you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And that helps nobody. But I also love how this guide, it doesn't just focus on the words,
Totally.
Like they even talk about body language too, which I feel like we all forget about that.
It's so true because communication, it's more than just the words coming out of your mouth. It's your body language. It's your eye contact, how you're standing, even your tone. It all matters.
It all plays a role.
And they have this great suggestion, like practicing your assertive stance, in the mirror.
Oh my gosh. I know, right?
I'm just picturing myself like power posing in the bathroom
I know, same.
before a big meeting.
But honestly, it's not a bad idea.
No, it's true because it's that reminder that like how you carry yourself can totally change the message,
Exactly. And honestly, the more you practice, like all of it, the words, the nonverbal stuff,
Yeah.
the more natural it'll become. Oh, absolutely. It's funny, you saying all this, it really makes me think about that quote, it's a marathon, not a sprint,
It really is. It's a journey.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's one small step you're going to take today to be a little more, assertive?
I'm going to try that paraphrasing thing we were talking about. Like the next time I'm talking to a colleague, I'm really going to make an effort to, really listen and repeat it back.
I love that.
What about you?
You know what? I am channeling my inner superhero.
Yes.
Because I am setting a boundary with a certain someone who will remain unnamed, who just loves to derail my entire morning with questions.
I love it. You got this.
I'm going to do it.
It's all about finding that voice, and once you do, it's amazing what can happen.
I love that. And that's something for everyone listening to think about, too. What do you have to gain by finding your voice? It's a journey, but it's worth it.